It appears that Tony Khan and AEW have some huge expansion plans internationally. Also, Discovery Bros, Warner Bros, this merger that has happened. Some great news coming for AEW in the near future. And then, of course, we got to talk about Triple H because we have a massive update on Triple H and his new role within NXT. Guys, he's back, and it appears that WWE is ready to get this going again. Don't know all the details just yet. By the way, timestamps are in the description down below if you guys want to stay up to date with every story in the video. But of course, when it comes to Triple H, I mentioned to you guys the other day that Triple H had a meeting with the team at WWE NXT. For those who are unaware, Shawn Michaels took over when Triple H was going through his health problems. And at that time period, it was a very interesting time period for WWE because it just so happened that WWE transitioned to NXT 2.0. Now, I've always been a big fan of the developmental system. I always thought the developmental system was a great way to introduce new faces before they go on to, WWE Raw or SmackDown or whatever it may be. That is essentially why the NXT brand got so big. I think a lot of times fans actually forget that. But Triple H is back running NXT. And according to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, there had been talk before Vince McMahon's situation that Triple H was going to be back in a bigger role. So this return was likely, obviously, not related to the investigation. But the timing would indicate that this move could be related in some form. Triple H said that there would be some changes happening, but he did not elaborate. Since his exit due to the health issues, obviously Shawn Michaels was taking the lead with NXT 2.0. So my belief is that NXT 2.0 will be the same. But I think, when we kind of talked about this before, about a month or so ago, with these media calls and stuff, WWE still has plans to build NXT internationally, which I think is important. And if you guys stay to the end of the video where I talk about AEW's massive plans, you're going to see why having an international presence is incredibly important. Now, with that being said, NXT India, NXT China, NXT, Germany, NXT Latin America. I don't know. I'm just using examples. But we all know that WWE and specifically Triple H had plans to make NXT everywhere, performance centers everywhere. And I think that's the right strategy. With that being said, I don't know if WWE should get to the point where they have an NXT show for every country or every continent that they're in. With that being said, though, I do want to point this out. With Triple H taking the lead, I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw in NXT 2.0 merged with NXT Black and Gold, which I think is perfect. You want to be developing stars, but I think you really want to get back to the grittiness, and I think you do want to focus on the wrestling aspect, because a lot of these people that are in NXT, a lot of them don't have a wrestling background, and some of them are hammering down the entertainment portion, right? But when it comes to the wrestling aspect, some of them just aren't getting it. So I would like to see there be a little bit more emphasis on the wrestling, kind of like how there was with Black and Gold, but make sure you're developing stars and characters and storylines, because the one thing about NXT 2.0, to its defense, there's not a lot of 50-50 booking and there's not a lot of DQs. Something that was, pretty cool about NXT Black and Gold. It's a huge issue on the main roster. If Triple H could just put the best of both worlds all together, I think NXT will definitely become a little bit more favorable with the internet wrestling community. Now, with that being said, I do want to turn our attention to Discovery. Yeah, so Discovery, obviously, big plans for AEW here. AEW will reportedly have heavy involvement with Shark Week on Discovery. Many promos have already been filmed, and they plan on doing some kind of gimmick match that week related to it. Now, the reason why this is actually important is just the same reason why I talk about business overall in wrestling. You need to have cross-promotion with these companies. WWE has a strong relationship with USA and Fox, and whenever they're promoting something, WWE stars are involved. Riddle was recently on Jimmy Fallon. AEW needs to be doing the same thing. You guys may have heard my video before where I spoke about AEW doing carpool karaoke. Another great example. Discovery being the new network partner for AEW because Warner Brothers is no longer there. It's merged with Discovery. There's new executives, obviously staff changes. This is great news for AEW. A lot of people are looking at ratings and, they're going to get canceled. They're going to get canceled. Discovery's going to cancel them because their ratings dropped 300,000 and this and that. Guys, Discovery should want AEW to succeed, and these are the types of things that will help AEW succeed. These are the type of things that will get people to watch AEW. Now, I have no idea what the hell they're going to do with a gimmick match. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm in favor of this, but sometimes wrestling can use a little bit of wackiness. It's something I praise about WWE. And I think with AEW, as long as this gimmick match isn't stupid and it's logical, have fun with it, man. Go and make a great, entertaining episode, promote Shark Week, drop these promos, maybe have Wardlow do a powerbomb symphony on a whole bunch of fake sharks. I don't know. Everybody talks about the Brock Lesnar F5 thing. I'm just saying they can do something cool here. Cross promotion at its best. Discovery, AEW, their relationship looks good, which is a great thing. More of this will be great for AEW. And in addition to that, we got to talk about these massive plans for AEW, because there is a lot of talk about AEW Forbidden Door. Obviously, the working relationship with New Japan is not appealing to everybody. But as I mentioned with NXT and Triple H, the one thing that helps WWE's brand, especially when developing stars, is that they are putting themselves in multiple markets. And I've always believed AEW doesn't necessarily have to have a performance center or developmental system. I don't think they need that. But I think they need to have international presence and a focus on international presence, because we know that AEW plays nice with other promotions. So the more that they are in these other countries, the more that they're doing, business-wise in these other countries, I think it allows for them to build these great relationships that allows them to bring in talent from other countries. Now, Japan is a perfect example. So recently, Tony Khan spoke to Tokyo Sports. Michael Nakazawa was acting as the interpreter, which is great. Obviously, AEW Japan is now a thing. And AEW, Tony Khan specifically talking about holding an AEW event in Japan. Tony Khan says, "I haven't held a tournament in another country yet, but I would like to try to deliver AEW to the world. Of course, I want to hold a tournament in Japan, and if I do, I would like to invite a lot of new Japanese players. Japan is definitely included in the list of countries where you want to have an AEW tournament." Now, with that being, the center focus of all of this, an AEW tournament, that could be a really cool thing. WWE can build a developmental system, a performance center in other countries, and try to develop international wrestlers, right? Fantastic idea. I don't think there's a lot of people who would disagree with WWE trying to bring, people from other countries into the world of WWE, right? I also don't think there's an issue for AEW to build a tournament in other countries as well, because you should have you should be focused on having your content and your product consumed by audiences all over the world. So imagine AEW does a tournament in Japan. Imagine if AEW did a tournament in Mexico. Imagine if AEW went to Canada and did a tournament. It doesn't have to be like this huge, crazy thing. And the cool thing is, and I've said this on my Twitch shows, you can have tournaments on your show, but you got to build storylines with it. And that will get people to enjoy the fact that you have tournaments. I'm not against tournaments, especially if you're doing international ones. Especially if you're bringing in people. I have no problem with that. But in order for AEW to do it successfully, you got to get people intrigued. It can't just be a wrestling match between two great wrestlers. You got to have a purpose for it. I think AEW expanding in Japan is a great thing. We already saw it with AEW Japan on Twitter, AEW on NJPW World with the TV deal. Now bringing Dynamite to Japan, bringing an AEW tournament to Japan. I think it's great. It strengthens their relationship. And I want to see more of WWE and AEW try to expand internationally, because bringing more talent together is a better idea. Let me know what you guys think down below.